Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Mac. So let's talk. All right. So I think I've expressed that I've been a youth mentor in my well, not in my past because I still do it now. I just don't do it professionally anymore. I do it around the neighborhood and whoever the spirit of God leads me to talk to and to mentor and brings across my path. So I'm pretty much a freelance mentor now. But the reason I wanted to do this post this morning because as a mentor and as working with the youth, there are some hardships that comes with that. And I want to discuss these things because we often hear the question from people, why don't the OGs reach out to the youth and why the OGs some being so selfish and don't nobody really talk to the youth no more? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of the deterrents that we have and the reasons why a lot of OGs don't talk to the youth or don't reach out. So first, let me say shout out to Scott, shout out to Neil out at the ranch where I used to work at. It was a therapeutic boarding school for boys aged 13 to 17 years old because at 18 you're legally grown and you can do what you want from there. So, that was one of the most fulfilling jobs in my life, but the things that came with it, man, were very detrimental. And if you don't have the discipline and you don't have the integrity and the character, then you'll fall into a lot of these traps. So this is pretty much a warning for all of those who wants to go into the field of being a mentor or being a youth outreach advocate or something like that. These are just things to look out for. These are things that I've experienced. These are things that I've fell into. These are things that I've witnessed other people fall into. So first off, I want to say Peter Pan syndrome. Peter, what is Peter Pan syndrome? Well, this is where you don't ever want to grow up. And I must admit that I fall in that category. I'm a pretty silly guy. As you can see some of my videos, I like to act silly. I like to laugh. I like to have a good time. I don't like to be serious all the time, which I can be, but I choose not to because laughter is medicine for the soul. And I really love to laugh. I love to crack jokes. I love to make people smile. That's just one thing about me, man. And, people my age, I'm 44, people my age and older look at me and see that they say that I'm immature. They say that I'm silly and I don't take anything serious, but that could be further from the truth. I know when to take things serious. I know when to be serious and stuff like that. I know when to not be silly, but I'm not going to be one of these hard-nosed people all the time. That's just not my character. That's not how God made me. So I'm not going to be what other grown-ups want me to be. I'm going to be what God made me to be successful in what I do. And to be successful in what I do, I have to have a certain level of immaturity so that I can relate to these kids on a certain level. Okay. So that brings about the Peter Pan syndrome. Don't want to grow up. I always want to be a kid. I'm always laughing. Somebody did a post the other day and it says if you wear shirts with cartoons on them, if you're an old dude and you wear shirts with cartoons on them, you need to stop. Why? I love Pop Out of Sailor Man, and I'm always gonna rock my shirt. So that's for y'all. Mind your business. Um, but yeah, I do have a bit of the Peter Pan syndrome, and I lose touch with grown-ups because children are more receptive, children are more forgiving, and children, they're just all around uh better learners because grown-ups think they know everything. They don't think another grown-up can teach them anything, especially if it's somebody that they consider to be immature. So I just don't like to deal with grown-ups that much. My gift and my 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 gift and my energy and my initiative goes towards the children. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what's on my heart to do. And anybody who has a problem with that, that's just your problem. It's not mine, and it'll never be mine. Second thing, this is probably the worst part of it. Oh my God. The accusations. Man, when you're a youth mentor and people see you always dealing with children and you always doing stuff for children, they will quickly equate you to a pedophile. Why he always around them kids? Why he have so much interest in them children? He must be trying to do something to them. Which is, I commend each parent for thinking like that. You should think like that off tops. Honestly, yeah, because the day and times that we live in, we just saw the other day on the news, they showed where a man just brazenly jumped out of the car and tried to snatch a child right in front of his mother. And she had to basically beat on them and jump in the car along with them to keep them from taking her child. There was also another story where this girl, she was in track and she was lagging behind everybody. There was an early morning cross country run and she was lagging far behind everybody else, so far to where a sexual predator felt comfortable trying to jump out and snatch this young girl. She was running with a group, even though she was behind them. She was still with a large group of people, and they were still bold enough to try to steal this child. Thankfully, she screamed and made enough noise and chaos that the coaches and the other players recognized what was going on and came to her daggone help. These people are getting really bold and snatching our children. So you have to have that mindset. So I don't fault parents for that. If anything, I encourage that. But at the same time, you have guys out here like myself and like many others that do work with the youth. Our heart is for the youth. That is what God placed in us to do. He equipped us with everything necessary to be able to bridge the gap from the old to the young and be able to give them something relatable and build a rapport with them so that they'll be receptive to the stuff that we're teaching them. Yeah, God has blessed some people with that gift. And we're out here and we're trying to reach these youth, but at the same time we're trying to reach these youth, we have to worry about being called pedophiles. We have to worry about being called weirdos because we have a heart for the children. Now I see what Michael Jackson went through. You know, I'm not saying that he's guilty or innocent, but I'm saying I understand what he went through because as I love children and I love to see children grow into strong, successful people, and I'm willing to do what it takes to impart the knowledge and wisdom into them and spend that time and effort with them. At the same time, I get called so many things to my face and behind my back. I've never in my life ever hurt a child, never will, because I was hurt as a child. I've been through that. And I'm one of the ones that goes the opposite direction. I don't go into it and do it to somebody else. I'm the one who tries at all costs to prevent it happening to anybody else. So let's get that straight. But we often, if you're going to go into the field of being a youth mentor, then just know that these type of accusations are going to come along with what you do. So when you go out there and you're talking to a group of children, just know that there's going to be some jealous grown up somewhere saying, you over there trying to holler at a baby. Who is this pedophile over here trying to get these kids into influence and stuff like that? And it's sad because it's like it's it's you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. If I don't go and reach out to these youth and holler at these youth and try to give them some knowledge and some understanding and some wisdom, people are gonna say, man, the black men don't never look out for the young ones. That's what's wrong with them now. That's why those young ones out here doing everything that they do and wilding out and stuff. But then when I do go and speak to these young kids and reach out to them, man, this old dude out here trying to be young again. This old dude out here trying to relive his life through these young kids and stuff. So which is it? Do you want us to reach out to the youth or do you want us to sit back and let them self-destruct? Because it seems like you don't know what you want, black community. Do you want the black men to reach out to the youth and give them knowledge? Or do you want us to stand back and let them destroy themselves because you're scared that somebody is going to try to holler at your baby boy? That's not how we rock. That's not how we rock. That's not what God put in us. So examine the spirit of the person before you go and start trying to label them as a pedophile and this and that. Get to go and get to talk to that person and see what their true intentions is and what their true heart is, and then make a judgment from there. But this prejudging that you do on black men who reach out to the youth, that's exactly why black men don't go and reach out to the youth, because of people like you and your toxic accusations against men. So now let me move on to the next. The next reason why it's so hard to be a youth mentor out here is the attraction that you get from these single mothers when you're reaching out to their children, and not just the mothers. It could be aunties or other women in the family who recognize you stepping in as a male and trying to help their young males to grow into productive citizens. And that appreciation can often turn into inappropriate relationships, misguided relationships. And it's all based off of the appreciation of you taking your time and effort out to reach out to their children. And they see you as a good man and or a good woman if you're a female. They see you as a good person. And, some people feel that they have to show their appreciation through sex, because that's the only way that they know to show positive emotion towards somebody else. It's through, I gotta have sex with this person. So we can get caught up in these inappropriate relationships. Mothers and fathers alike will appreciate what you're doing for their child. If you're a female and there's a single father and you're working with their children, they see you as potential mother material for their children, your wifey material, basically. And if you're already in a relationship or you're not interested in that, and you dismiss their advances, then they may take that child out of your presence because they feel some type of way themselves. They turned it to them, they've made it about them now, and it's no longer about the child. And so you don't want to take your focus off of the child, because the child is the most important thing in the whole scenario. And that's the reason why you're there in the first place. It's not to become a mate to the parent. But we can often get caught up in those situations, which is understandable, because you appreciate somebody for doing something for your child that you feel is lost and is going down the wrong path and potentially leading themselves to being hurt or hurting somebody else. So when somebody comes along that can reach that child in a way that you can't, and influence that child to do the things that you've been trying to get that child to do, it does make you feel some type of way. So take that into consideration, mentors, that you're going to be dealing with vulnerable mothers and vulnerable fathers if you're a female, or whatever the case may be. But you're going to be dealing with vulnerable people who are at their wits' end. And when you do something that they couldn't do with their child, they're going to feel that overwhelming appreciation. And based on what type of sexual life or sexual ideas they have, they may try to come at you. They may try to holler at you on the low. They may do all of these little things to try to get you to be more active in their child's life. And that's a very slippery slope. And as a professional, it's best and it's wisest to keep it professional. Please, at all costs, keep it professional. Do not slide over into their DMs and start talking about other stuff, because the most important thing, like I said, is the success of that child and the success of children that'll come after that. So, yeah, that's another one. Last thing I really want to talk about is worship. Be careful as a youth mentor that these children don't start worshiping you and see you as the end all be all on all matters, because that's not healthy either. It's good to have the child's respect and have them respect what you have to say, but don't ever lead them to believe that you know everything. Don't ever lead them to believe that you'll do anything for them. This is something that I always told boys that I work with. Look, I'm not going to promise you that I'm going to do everything that you want me to do, but I will promise you this. Anything that is within the realm of acceptability, I will put forth the effort to try to get it done for you. I'm not saying I'm going to make it happen, but I am going to say that I will put forth the effort to try to get it done for you. Never make promises that you can't keep, because once you make a promise and you break that promise to that kid, you lost their trust and you lost that rapport. Because the biggest thing about children is inconsistency from the parents as it is. Having inconsistent parents is the reason that you end up there in their lives in the first place. And so if you come and you exhibit inconsistency as well, you're going to lose that child. So it's a must that you don't allow that kid to worship you. You always let them know that, hey, I'm only able to do this because somebody did it for me. And I always give credit to Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? God is the one who brought me to this place and shaped me and molded me to become this person so that I could reach out to somebody like you. This is what I tell people. I never want to take any worship or any glory for myself, because I know that it's not me. Because what's in me to do is far, far away from what I'm actually doing because of my wretched flesh. And so, yeah, man, those are just some things that I wanted to put out there. Parents, single parents, or just parents who have a child that you can't handle. If somebody comes along and that child takes an interest in them, and not a pedophile, just a regular person who has a heart to help, and your child takes an interest in that person and listens to what that person says, try teaming up with that person and giving that person an idea of what you would like to see changed in your child, instead of having a resentment towards that person because they're able to reach your child in a way that you can't reach them. Because that's another thing that I also see. If you don't have what it takes to reach your child and to keep your child out the streets, but another person does, and they gain your child's respect, I would suggest that you team up with that person, because that person's got an inside scoop that you don't have, and that's something you can use to your advantage to help mend the relationship with your child for whatever reason that they don't respect your word. Because dealing with those kids out there, I learned something that they parents um parents need to step the game up. Parenting has diminished so much. And a lot of times parents will give their kids money and they'll give their kids devices, but they won't give their kids time and they won't give their kids effort, because they think that going out, building up their occupation or whatever interest they have in their life is, I'm doing this for my child. But are we really doing it for our children? No, no. Our children being supported by what we do is just a byproduct of it. But that's not why we're out there doing it. And we need to quit telling that lie. We're doing it because it satisfies us. Because our children are hurting. Our children want our time. Our children want our consistency. And we're not able to give that when we're out here chasing all of these things that the world says we should have. And that's where a lot of these kids suffer from. So let's stop. Let's start thinking. Let's really put our focus on the next generation. Because if this next generation does not have the capabilities emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, then we're on a rough downfall. And we know how Rome fell, and we don't want to be another Rome because we failed to instruct our youth. I still reach out to the kids. I'm gonna always reach out to the kids, and I'm gonna always impart wisdom and knowledge into the kids. That's just who I am. And I'm never going to try to live up to the expectations of others, because when it comes to that day of judgment and I come upon the judgment seat, none of you will be there to speak for me. Okay. So I'm gonna do what God put in me to do, regardless of how you feel. So the next time uh, you're going back and forth with somebody about mentorship, just realize the hardships that that person has to deal with, the accusations, the Peter Pan syndrome, the attraction from the misplaced attraction from mothers and other female family members or male family members, and the worship. These are things that people have to deal with on the daily, but yet and still they'll get up and they'll endure it because they see the bigger picture. And that's your child's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. If you can't see that, then you need to get in the program and get taught too. This is your boy D Mac, man. I love each and every one of you, and I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for the likes and the subs and all of that good stuff, because I'm always going to bring you meaningful content. And like I always say, sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.